Robin Boyd, the Australian architect, inspired and contributed to the modernism art movement during the 1860s to the 1970s. This artist was based within Melbourne and Sydney. He used a range of design principles and elements from this period to create effective and unique work for his time, with his home still being used as reference and inspiration for architects in the modern era. He based his design on the social, cultural, and political standards of his era. The upbringing of Boyd pushed him to become the innovative architect he is known as. His father, Penley Boyd, was a painter, with his grandfather being an architect himself. He spent his early childhood living within his father's studio as well as family home in Melbourne. After finishing his schooling, his mother, based on Boyd's interest in architecture, enrolled him to train with, at the time, leading Melbourne architect Kingsley Henderson. Within his education, he ultimately became a mathematician and architect, which led him in creating his own modernistic home designs using these skills. An insight on modernism. Modernism describes both the art and philosophical movement of society within the late 20th century. Within this movement, society's values and ideals were adapted and changed, ultimately altering the public's everyday experiences and attitudes. Characteristics of this changed society include a desire to move forward and forget about tradition due to the recent events of the First World War, to include new technologies such as develop machinery into the production of goods to assist in fast and easy mass production, to live a simpler, more integrated life, to integrate nature into machine, and finally to make everyday life a little more easier and simpler for its people, just to name a few. During this period, architectural elements were developed, inspired by the trends of this period. The following characteristics, materials, and technologies were incorporated in these designs. A use in geometric shapes, used for the main structuring and outline of a home, including the detailing as well. A focus on functionality, with simple rooms which easily flow. A desire for more metals and concretes, used for the exterior of the house as inspired by new machine technologies. Use of prime colours, and finally the integration of the natural environment into the home itself. Robin Boyd has incorporated these aspects in his own homes. Walsh Street Home. The exterior of the Walsh Street house uses mainly geometric figures to create the form and structure of the home. This is a great example as a part of the modernism movement. Large, simple geometric figures were desired. This was due to society's desire of a simplistic lifestyle and a rejection for great detailing, as seen in previous movements. The single long rectangular shape, along with the slanted roof to create some sort of visual appeal, demonstrates how with less is more. With one single rectangular structure making the home, with a lack of added rooms and features, this creates an easy flow and effect, guiding the homeowner easily from one end to the other. This demonstrates the ideology of a simpler, easier lifestyle desired by individuals during this period, making their days more casual and productive with a lack of unnecessary features added into their home. The large windows of the Walsh Street home remain rectangular with clean lines. This creates structure and contrast, longed in this specific period. This also creates an onlook into the natural Australian environment, with this aspect being desired during this period as well. This same pattern, as seen in the windows, can be found on the ceiling. This once again creates structure and ties in the sides of the home to the ceiling, creating a flow-on effect running smoothly as once again desired by the public. The interior of the Walsh Street home once again uses a range of geometric shapes. The rectangular couch, coffee table, triangular fireplace, and rug all hint to design principles of this movement. Rectangular paintings with thin framing, as well as the chairs which have smaller circular cutouts in it, are smaller detailings, once again expressing a modernistic approach. The colours within this room also consist of prime colours, using red and different tones of yellow and orange, placed against dark backgrounds, creating contrast and visual appeal. This idea of prime colouring reflects society's attitudes to return to its roots, and also demonstrates how you do not need complicated colours to create an effective design.
The Featherstone House. A societal attitude of this time was a desire to move forward as a result of World War I's destruction and chaos, with a new, more simpler, practical way of life desired. The layout of the room within the Featherstone House remains open, with multiple levels seen within the same room. This can be described as a loft-type design. This can be seen as a rejection from the past with the use of open space rather than individual segregated rooms, and easily accessible and flowing levels, something unseen in past eras. This also can be seen as a representation of society's adapting social practices of acceptance and embracement of all people, despite colour, age, race, and sex. With an open-type plan, there is no opportunity for segregation or rejection of a certain group, where individuals must live together and be with one another in an open environment. Interior and exterior of Featherstone House incorporates materials such as metal beams and steel frames to support the large modern glass windows, as well as incorporating this metal inside surrounding the natural brick. This demonstrates the use of modern man-made materials found within this art period. Man-made and factory-produced materials and features were designed within this period. Materials which reflect modernism can be described as machine materials, such as steel, glass, etc., which are all man-made materials. Interior and exterior of Featherstone House incorporates materials such as metal beams and steel frames to support the large modern glass windows, as well as incorporating this metal inside surrounding the natural brick. This demonstrates the use of modern man-made materials found within this art period. Man-made and factory-produced materials and features were designed within this period, as they were easy to produce and demonstrated futuristic design characteristics. Despite this, Boyd incorporates natural materials such as rocks and polished wood, brick, and even plantation within his design. Even though he uses non-typical modernistic materials, he ensures these materials are fused with other modernistic elements, for example, geometric shaping. The integration of the natural environment also demonstrates the ecological values of the time. The natural Australian environment became more valued and respected during this period, with an incorporation into these new machine-inspired homes being desired, and ultimately making the home appear balanced between nature and machine. Glenn Murcutt is an influential Australian architect born in 1963 in London, UK. He moved to Australia at a young age and continued his education within Sydney. He has won many prizes for his architectural work, including the highly regarded Pritzker Prize, and is even considered one of Australia's greatest architects. Murcutt, through his work, incorporates elements found within the modernism period. These characteristics can be compared to Boyd's work, as Boyd's homes are seen as the peak of modernism within architecture. The Walsh Home. The Walsh House. Glenn Murcutt's work includes large windows with fixed steel frames, hinting at the design of Boyd's own homes. The materials used to construct the house are metals, steels, and glass, also found in Boyd's work, popular in the modernism period. Not only this, but the beams used remain dark and contrasting as a somewhat statement piece. It creates a simplistic yet geometric detailed appearance, creating simplicity in the detailing of his home. This structure also ensures the home easily flows, does not get lost in the fancy detailing. This is an example of how Glenn Murcutt has used design principles of the modernism period. The detailing in the roof part of Murcutt's home appears similar to Boyd's roof within the Featherstone home. This creates a flow-on effect from window to roof, following the base home's structural beams and large windows. This flow effect from base to roof is easy to the eye, creating visual appeal and an easy-to-follow design designed within the modernism period. The Simpsons Lead House. The nature-rich area in which the home is built upon once again relates to the modernism period. The incorporation of nature into the home itself was a desired aspect, as mentioned before. Murcutt has achieved this through his large windows, looking out into the natural environment. The source of natural lighting ensures the home remains ecological in its setting, and does not further damage the environment. This represents the idea of living in harmony with the environment as new, more harmful technologies come in, as seen during the modernism period. The beams holding up the roof in the Simpson Lead House are dainty beams, which is also seen in the Lyons House made by Boyd. These beams create appeal and intrigue the viewer, making the home appear floating in some way. This floating effect can be related back to modernism, as the idea of a utopian future which was pushed by the people of the time. A floating home can be seen as reference to the perceptive future, therefore relating to the futuristic and progressive approach of the time.